All right, today we're going to dive into a book that has been a total game changer for millions of people, Atomic Habits by James Clear. We are going to break down how these tiny, almost invisible changes can lead to some truly remarkable, life-altering results. Let's start with a feeling I'm pretty sure we've all had. You know that deep frustration when you're putting in the work. You're going to the gym, you're studying, you're trying to build something, but the needle just isn't moving. You feel like you're running as fast as you can, but you're just stuck in the same spot.
Well, here's a pretty radical idea the book puts forward. Forget about your goals. Yeah, you heard me. Forget them. The problem isn't your ambition or how motivated you are. The problem is your system. And the real solution, the real magic, is in the surprising power of making tiny 1% improvements.
Now, let's just look at the math on this for a second, because it's kind of mind-blowing. Getting just 1% better each day. It doesn't sound like much, right? But if you can stick with that for a year, the compounding effect is staggering. You don't just get a little better, you end up 37 times better than when you started. Now that is the power of compounding.
And listen, this is not just some nice theory. Let's look at one of the most incredible turnarounds in sports history, the British cycling team. For nearly 100 years, these guys were the definition of mediocre. In 110 years, not a single British cyclist had ever won the Tour de France. They were not good.
Then this new performance director, Dave Brailsford, comes along, and his strategy was all about the aggregation of marginal gains. He broke down every single thing they did and just tried to improve each little piece by 1%. And I mean everything. They looked at massage gels, they hired a surgeon to teach riders the right way to wash their hands to avoid colds, they even painted the inside of the team truck white just so they could spot tiny bits of dust that might hurt a bike's performance. And the results? They became the most dominant force in their sport, period. So, if these tiny gains are so incredibly powerful, why do we give up so easily? Why is it so hard to stick with them? Well, the answer lies in something James Clear calls the valley of disappointment.
In this graph right here, this explains everything. We expect our progress to look like that straight line, steady, immediate, predictable. But reality is that curved line. In the beginning, your results are so small they're basically invisible. And that gap, that space between what we expect and what's actually happening, that's the valley of disappointment. It's where we get frustrated, where we think this isn't working, and we quit, usually right before the results are about to explode.
You know, the San Antonio Spurs, one of the most successful teams in NBA history, actually have this quote hanging in their locker room. It's such a powerful reminder that mastery takes patience. Those first 100 swings at the rock weren't failures. They were building up the tension, setting the stage for that breakthrough.
Okay, let's get practical. The book lays out 4 laws for building better habits. We're going to focus on 2 of the most powerful ones, starting with number 1, make it obvious.
Check out this incredible story. A paramedic with years and years of experience walks into a family gathering. She takes one look at her father-in-law, who feels totally fine, by the way, and she just knows something is terribly wrong. Her brain had become this amazing prediction machine. It had learned to recognize these subtle, non-conscious cues of heart failure. She couldn't even explain why she knew. She just saw.
And this shows us exactly how we can use that same principle. Our habits are usually just a response to the most obvious cues around us. A hospital cafeteria didn't launch some big drink more water campaign. Nope. They just made water more visible. They put it in more places. And boom, sales shot up by over 25%.
So the big takeaway is this: you've got to design your environment for success. If you want to eat healthier, don't hide the apples in the fridge. Put a big fruit bowl right on the counter. You want to practice guitar more? Take it out of the case and put it on a stand right in the middle of your living room. Make the cue for the good habit the most obvious thing you see.
All right, on to our second key strategy. This is the book's 3rd law, make it easy. And this one taps into one of our most basic human instincts, the law of least effort.
So get this, a photography professor runs this fascinating experiment. He splits his class into 2 groups. The quantity group was graded purely on the number of photos they took. 100 photos got you an A. The quality group, on the other hand, only had to turn in 1 single perfect photo. Now, which group do you think actually produced the best pictures?
It was the quantity group, and it wasn't even close. While the quality group was sitting around theorizing about what makes a perfect picture, the quantity group was out there just taking hundreds of photos. They were experimenting, learning from their mistakes, and sharpening their skills through sheer action. They got better by doing.
And this just gets to a core truth about us. We are wired to conserve energy. This isn't about being lazy, it's about being efficient. We will almost always gravitate toward the option that requires the least amount of work. So we can use this laziness to our advantage. The whole strategy is dead simple. Reduce the friction. Lower the number of steps between you and your good habits. If you want to work out in the morning, lay your clothes out the night before. And for bad habits, you just do the opposite. You increase the friction. Unplug the TV, take the batteries out of the remote, hide it in another room, whatever it takes. Make it harder to do the things you want to avoid.
Okay, now for what I think is the most profound, most important idea in this entire book. The real goal here isn't just about changing what you do, it is about changing who you are.
See, true, lasting behavior change is identity change. The goal is not to read a book, it's to become a reader. The goal is not to run a marathon, it is to become a runner. When your habits are just an expression of your identity, you stop chasing motivation. You're just acting in line with the type of person you already believe you are.
Take the story of a man who chewed his fingernails his whole life. He tried willpower, but nothing stuck. Then, one day, he got his first manicure. And for the first time ever, he actually felt proud of his nails. That pride created a shift in his identity. He started seeing himself as someone who takes care of his hands. And suddenly, the old habit didn't just seem bad, it seemed unthinkable.
So, how do we do this? It's a really simple two-step process. First, you decide the type of person you want to become. Not what you want to achieve, but who you want to be. Then, second, you prove it to yourself with small wins. Every time you write one page, you cast a vote for being a writer. Every time you go to the gym, you cast a vote for being an athlete.
And that's really the crucial point to leave you with. Every single action you take is a vote for the type of person you wish to become. Your daily habits are how you literally embody a particular identity. So the question is, what person are you becoming? Who are you voting for today?